Good evening, dear wanderers of the night, and welcome to Unknown Sleepers, where the quiet whispers of history cradle you into a gentle rest. As you settle into your soft blankets, perhaps with the faint glow of a bedside lamp casting golden shadows or the murmur of a distant breeze rustling through the leaves outside, let the cares of the day dissolve like mist fading in the morning light. If these calming tales bring you peace, we'd be honored if you'd subscribe to our channel, a small gesture that keeps these stories glowing like candles in a forgotten apothecary. Tonight, we invite you to step into the curious world of the 1800s, where doctors, healers, and traveling quacks used strange remedies, leeches, mercury pills, electrified belts, and mysterious tonics to soothe ailments in candlelit rooms, bustling clinics, and dusty frontier cabins. But first, pause for a moment and picture history enthusiasts gathered under the same starry sky, from sleepy hamlets to faraway cities, their hearts warmed by tales of the past, sipping tea or gazing at the moon's soft light. In the comments below, share where you're listening from and what time it is. Perhaps you're in a quiet village as twilight settles, a coastal town under midnight's gentle glow, or a bustling city kissed by the first rays of dawn. Your words might weave a thread connecting dreamers across the globe who cherish these curious stories, their voices echoing like whispers in a healer's quiet room. Imagine the faint scent of camphor in the air, the soft creak of a wooden floor underfoot, or the gentle flicker of a candle casting shadows on a cluttered desk. Let's begin, slowly and calmly, as the night unfolds its tranquil, timeless tale. In the 19th century, the world of medicine was a peculiar tapestry of ancient beliefs, bold experiments, and hopeful guesswork, where healers in starched coats, village-wise women, and traveling charlatans sought to ease human suffering with remedies that now seem as strange as they were earnest. From the fog-laden streets of London, where gas lamps cast a golden haze, to the sun-baked trails of the American frontier, where dust swirled in the evening breeze, from the humid, spice-scented markets of Calcutta to the wind-swept villages of West Africa, people placed their trust in treatments like bloodletting, leech therapy, mercury pills, electrified contraptions, and syrupy patent medicines, their faith as steady as the flickering candles that lit their homes. The 1800s were a time of transformation. Steam engines roared, cities swelled, and diseases like cholera and tuberculosis swept through. But medicine remained a blend of art and mystery, its tools and tonics often more hopeful than effective. As a soft breeze might have rustled the cotton curtains of a Victorian parlour, patients lay in bed, their faces pale, their breaths shallow, while doctors measured pulses with brass pocket watches, their hands steady, their voices low, offering comfort in glass vials, whispered prayers, and the faint clink of surgical tools. The scent of camphor, alcohol, and lavender filled the air, a quiet reminder of care in an age of uncertainty, where healing was as much about hope as it was about science. Our tale begins in early 19th century Europe around 1800, when medical practice was deeply rooted in the ancient theory of the four humours: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, believed to govern the body's health and temperament. In London, where the Thames flowed sluggishly under a shroud of fog and the scent of coal smoke hung heavy, physicians in black frock coats and top hats practiced bloodletting to restore humoral balance, their lancets gleaming faintly in the candlelight of oak-panelled parlours. A patient, perhaps a weary merchant suffering from a persistent fever, lay on a velvet chaise long, his sleeve rolled up, His arm extended as the doctor made a precise incision with the lancet, the blood dripping slowly into a porcelain bowl, etched with delicate floral patterns. The bowl, placed on a mahogany side table, filled gradually, its contents a deep crimson under the flickering glow of a beeswax candle, the soft patter of each drop a gentle rhythm in the quiet room, like rain on a tin roof. As the scent of lavender oil, dabbed on the patient's wrist to calm his nerves, drifted through the air, the doctor wiped his lancet with a linen cloth, his movements deliberate, his voice soothing as he murmured assurances of relief, his spectacles glinting in the dim light. The patient's family, gathered in the adjacent parlor, sipped tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate handles, their voices low as they whispered prayers for recovery, their hearts steadied by the doctor's calm presence, and the familiar ritual of the treatment. The bowl's faint clink as it was set aside on the table was a reminder of hope, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's ancient art, a practice rooted in centuries of tradition. Bloodletting was not confined to the wealthy. In rural England, country doctors visited thatched cottages where the scent of wood smoke and damp earth filled the air. A farmer, plagued by headaches, sat on a wooden stool by a crackling hearth, his arm bared as the doctor used a phleem, a small, folding blade, to draw blood into a tin basin, its surface dented from years of use. The basin, placed on a rough-hewn table, caught the blood's steady drip, its soft patter blending with the fire's gentle crackle, a quiet rhythm in the humble room. As the scent of rosemary, sprinkled on the floor to mask odors, lingered, faintly, the doctor adjusted his phleem, his fingers brushing the worn handle, his voice low as he offered words of comfort, his presence a beacon of care in the flickering light. The farmer's family, gathered by the hearth, shared a loaf of rye bread, their hands warmed by the crust, their voices soft as they prayed for healing, their trust in the doctor's skill unwavering. The basin's soft clank as it was set. Aside was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's steady hand, a ritual that bound the community in hope. Across the Channel, in Paris, leech therapy was a favored remedy, its use widespread in elegant apothecaries and crowded hospitals alike. In a Parisian shop, where shelves groaned under the weight of glass jars filled with herbs, roots, and curious powders, a healer applied leeches, small, wriggling creatures with glistening bodies, to a patient's skin, their tiny bites drawing blood to ease ailments like migraines, inflammation, or melancholy. The leeches, kept in a clay jar filled with cool water, shimmered faintly in the candlelight, their movements slow and deliberate, like dancers in a quiet ballet. A patient, perhaps a seamstress with swollen joints, sat in a cushioned chair, her face calm, her eyes half closed as the leeches clung to her arm, their work a soft, rhythmic pulse in the dimly lit room. As the soft hum of the city, carriage wheels on cobblestones, distant laughter drifted through the open window, the healer adjusted the jar, her fingers brushing the cool clay, her voice soothing as she explained the leech's benefits, her apron stained with ink and herbs. The patient's family, waiting in the shop's anteroom, sipped coffee from tin cups, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the leeches as steadfast as the Seine's steady flow. The jar's faint clink, as it was set on a wooden shelf, was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that had soothed countless souls across the centuries. Leech therapy was not merely a medical act, but a ritual, its tools and settings imbued with quiet significance. In Vienna, where the scent of fresh bread wafted from bakeries, Apothecaries kept leeches in ornate glass jars, their surfaces etched with vines, their contents shimmering under gaslight. A patient, perhaps a clerk with a fever, lay on a linen-draped cot. The leeches applied to his temples, their bites a soft murmur in the quiet clinic, their work a gentle rhythm that echoed the ticking of a brass clock on the wall. As the scent of chamomile, used to calm the patient, drifted through the air, the healer adjusted the jar, his fingers brushing the etched glass, his voice low as he murmured assurances, his spectacles fogging slightly in the warm room. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby waiting room, sipped tea from porcelain saucers, their hands warmed by the delicate rims, their voices soft as they whispered hopes for recovery, their trust in the leeches unwavering. The clock's soft tick, marking the passage of time, was a reminder of patience, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that linked the present to a distant past. Mercury, a shimmering silver liquid, was another cornerstone of 19th century medicine, its use both revered and perilous. In Berlin, where the Spree River flowed past stone bridges and the scent of linden blossoms filled the air, apothecaries dispensed mercury pills for ailments like syphilis, constipation, or melancholy, their hands steady as they weighed the metal on brass scales, their surfaces polished to a mirror-like sheen. A patient, perhaps a soldier with a lingering illness, sat in a wooden chair, swallowing a mercury pill, its bitter taste masked by a sip of watered wine, the glass trembling slightly in his calloused hand. As the scent of beeswax candles burning, on a nearby table, mingled with the faint metallic tang of mercury, the apothecary adjusted his scales, his fingers brushing the cool brass, his voice calm as he noted the dosage in a leather-bound ledger, its pages crinkling softly under his quill. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby room, sipped tea from tin mugs, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they spoke of recovery, their hearts lifted by the promise of a cure, unaware of mercury's hidden dangers. The scales' soft clank as they were set aside was a reminder of precision, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's craft, a practice that promised relief but often brought harm. Mercury's use extended beyond pills to ointments and vapors, each method a quiet ritual in the healer's repertoire. In Edinburgh, where the scent of peat smoke hung heavy, doctors applied mercury salve to patients' skin, believing it could purge toxins. A patient, perhaps a weaver with a rash, sat on a wooden bench, the salve's cool touch a relief against her inflamed skin, its metallic scent mingling with the air. As the soft hum of the city, bagpipes in the distance, the clatter of carts, drifted through the open window, the doctor adjusted his jar, his fingers brushing the cool glass, his voice soothing as he explained the treatment's benefits, his coat stained with ink. The patient's family, waiting in the clinic's anteroom, sipped ale from pewter tankards, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the salve steadfast. The jar's faint clink as it was, set on a shelf, was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that glittered with promise but carried silent risks. By the 1820s, electrotherapy emerged as a novel treatment, its strange devices sparking curiosity across Europe. In Vienna, where waltzes echoed in gilded halls and the scent of coffee drifted from cafes, physicians used galvanic batteries, wooden boxes with copper wires and zinc plates to send mild electric currents through patients, believing it could cure paralysis, rheumatism, or melancholy. A patient, perhaps a seamstress with aching joints, sat in a clinic, her hands resting on brass electrodes, the faint hum of the battery, a soft murmur in the quiet room, its vibrations a gentle pulse under her fingertips. As the scent of ozone, sharp and clean, lingered in the air, the doctor adjusted the battery's dials, his fingers brushing the polished wood, his voice calm as he explained the treatment's promise, his spectacles glinting in the gaslight. The patient's family, gathered in the clinic's waiting room, sipped tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate handles, their voices low as they shared tales of miracles, their faith in the new science as bright as the city's chandeliers. The battery's soft buzz fading into silence was a reminder of innovation, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that hummed with the era's boundless curiosity. Electrotherapy's allure spread to London, where clinics advertised electric baths for nervous disorders. A patient, perhaps a banker with insomnia, sat in a wooden tub lined with copper plates, the current tingling faintly, its hum a soft counterpoint to the distant clatter of hansoms on cobblestone streets. As the scent of lavender, used to soothe, the nerves drifted through the air, the attendant adjusted the battery, his fingers brushing the cool metal, his voice low as he murmured assurances, his apron crisp and white. The patient's family, waiting in a velvet-draped anteroom, sipped sherry from crystal glasses, their hands warmed by the delicate stems, their voices soft as they whispered hopes for restful sleep, their trust in the electric cure unwavering. The tub's faint hum as the current ceased was a reminder of progress, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's craft, a practice that promised to jolt the body back to health. In North America, the 1800s saw a proliferation of patent medicines, their colorful bottles lining shelves from Boston's bustling pharmacies to the dusty counters of frontier general stores. In Philadelphia, where the scent of horse-drawn carriages and fresh ink filled the air, apothecaries sold tonics like Dr. Kilmer's swamp root, Lydia Pinkham's vegetable compound, and Ayer's sarsaparilla, each promising to cure ailments from fatigue to female complaints to liver troubles. A patient, perhaps a clerk with a persistent cough, stood at a wooden counter sipping a dose of swamp root from a green glass bottle, its syrupy sweetness masking the bite of alcohol and herbs, the bottle's label gleaming in the lamplight. As the scent of peppermint, a common ingredient, lingered faintly, the apothecary arranged bottles on the counter, his fingers brushing the cool glass, his voice calm as he touted the tonic's virtues, his apron stained with tonic spills. The patient's family, gathered in the shop's corner, sipped coffee from tin mugs, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their trust in the tonic's promise as steadfast as the city's brick row houses. The bottle's soft clink as it was set back on the shelf was a reminder of hope, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's remedy, a practice that thrived on bold claims and fragile faith. Patent medicines were not merely remedies, but cultural artifacts, their advertisements plastered on barn walls and newspaper pages. In St. Louis, where the Mississippi River's muddy waters reflected gaslight, a traveling salesman peddled Hostetta's celebrated stomach bitters, its amber bottle promising relief from dyspepsia. A patient, perhaps a riverboat worker, with stomach pains, sipped the bitters from a tin spoon, its bitter tang softened by sugar, the spoon trembling slightly in his hand. As the scent of anise, a key ingredient, drifted through the air, the salesman adjusted his display, his fingers brushing the bottle's cork, his voice smooth as he spun tales of miracles, his bowler hat tilted jauntily. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby tavern, sipped ale from pewter tankards, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they spoke of recovery, their faith in the bitters unwavering. The bottle's faint clink, as it was packed away, was a reminder of commerce, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's pitch, a practice that blended medicine with showmanship. Bloodletting remained a cornerstone in America, especially in rural areas where scientific advances were slow to reach. In the Appalachian hills of Tennessee, where the scent of pine and wood smoke filled the air, country doctors carried fleams in leather kits, visiting log cabins lit by oil lamps. A farmer, feverish from influenza, lay on a quilted bed, his arm extended as the doctor used the phlegm to draw blood into a tin basin, its surface dented and scratched, the blood's soft patter blending with the hearth's gentle crackle, a quiet rhythm in the rustic room. As the scent of cedar used to ward off insects lingered faintly, the doctor wiped the phlegm with a cotton rag, his fingers brushing the worn blade, his voice low as he murmured prayers, his presence a comfort in the dim light. The farmer's family, gathered by the fire, shared cornbread, their hands warmed by the crust, their voices soft as they prayed for healing. Their trust in the doctor's skill as solid as the cabin's logs. The basin's soft clank as it was set on a wooden stool was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's hand, a practice that echoed centuries of tradition. Leech therapy also flourished in America, particularly in humid, southern cities like New Orleans, where the Mississippi River's banks bloomed with magnolias and the air carried the scent of jasmine. In a Creole apothecary, its shelves lined with jars of roots and powders, healers applied leeches to patients with fevers or joint pain. The creatures kept in glass jars that shimmered in the candlelight. A patient, perhaps a riverboat captain, with a swollen knee, sat in a wicker chair, the leeches clinging to his skin, their bites a soft murmur in the quiet room. Their work a gentle rhythm that echoed the river's steady flow. As the soft hum of the French Quarter, banjo notes, distant laughter, drifted through the shutters, the healer adjusted the jar, her fingers brushing the cool glass, her voice soothing as she explained the leech's benefits, her apron embroidered with flowers. The patient's family, waiting in the shop's courtyard, sipped chicory coffee from clay mugs, their hands warmed by the ceramic, their voices low as they shared tales of recovery, their faith in the leeches as deep as the river's currents. The jar's faint clink, as it was set on a shelf, was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that bridged old and new worlds. In Asia, traditional remedies mingled with colonial influences, creating a rich tapestry of healing practices. In Calcutta, where the Hooghly River flowed past bustling markets and the scent of cardamom and cloves hung heavy, Ayurvedic healers used mercury-based ointments for skin ailments, their hands steady as they mixed. The metal with turmeric and ghee in brass mortars. A patient, perhaps a merchant with eczema, sat on a woven mat in a courtyard clinic, the ointment's cool touch a relief against his inflamed skin, its earthy scent mingling with the air. As the soft hum of the market, vendors' calls, the clatter of carts drifted through the palm trees, the healer adjusted her mortar, her fingers brushing the warm brass, her voice calm as she chanted mantras, her presence a comfort in the humid light. The patient's family, gathered under a banyan tree, sipped chai from clay cups, their hands warmed by the ceramic, their voices soft as they prayed for healing. Their trust in the ancient remedy as rooted as the tree's sprawling limbs. That these mortar's soft clank as it was set aside was a reminder of tradition, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's craft, a practice that wove India's past with its present. In China, during the Qing dynasty, traditional medicine embraced curious treatments like powdered deer antler for vitality and strength. In Beijing, where the scent of jasmine drifted through narrow hutongs and the forbidden city's red walls glowed under starlight, herbalists dispensed antler pills, their hands steady as they weighed the fine powder on wooden scales, their surfaces worn smooth by years of use. A patient, perhaps a scholar with fatigue, sat in a lacquered chair, swallowing the pill, its bitter taste masked by a sip of chrysanthemum tea, the cup trembling slightly in his hand. As the scent of ginseng, a common additive, lingered faintly, the herbalist adjusted her scales, her fingers brushing the cool wood, her voice low as she noted the dosage in a silk-bound book, its pages rustling softly under her brush. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby courtyard, sipped tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate rims, their voices soft as they spoke of recovery, their hearts lifted by the promise of a cure. The scales' soft clank, as they were set aside, was a reminder of precision, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that carried the weight of centuries. In Japan, during the Edo period, moxibustion, burning small cones of mugwort on the skin, was a common remedy for pain and fatigue. In Kyoto, where cherry blossoms drifted under moonlight and the scent of sandalwood rose from temples, healers applied moxa cones to patients, their hands steady as they lit the herb with a glowing taper, the smoke curling upward like a prayer. A patient, perhaps a samurai with arthritis, sat on a tatami mat in a wooden clinic, the moxa's warmth easing his stiff joints, its pungent scent a quiet comfort in the still room. As the soft hum of a koto, plucked in a nearby tea house, drifted through the shoji screens, the healer adjusted her tools, her fingers brushing the bamboo tray, her voice calm as she explained the treatment's benefits, her kimono rustling softly. The patient's family, waiting in the clinic's garden, sipped matcha from lacquered bowls, their hands warmed by the wood, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the moxa as steadfast as the city's ancient shrines. The cone's faint sizzle as it burned out was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that warmed both body and soul. In Africa, traditional healers blended indigenous remedies with colonial practices, creating a unique medical landscape. In Lagos, where the scent of palm oil and roasted yams filled the air, and the Atlantic breeze rustled palm fronds, Yoruba healers applied herbal poultices mixed with red clay for fevers and infections, their hands steady as they pressed the mixture onto patients' skin. A patient, perhaps a trader with malaria, lay on a woven mat in a mud brick compound, the poultice's cool touch a relief against his fevered brow, its earthy scent mingling with the air. As the soft hum of the market, drums, vendors' calls, drifted through the compound, the healer adjusted her mortar, her fingers brushing the warm clay, her voice low as she chanted blessings, her presence a comfort in the dim light. The patient's family, gathered in the courtyard, sipped palm wine from clay pots, their hands warmed by the ceramic, their voices soft as they prayed for healing, their trust in the poultice as deep as the land's roots. The mortar's soft clank, as it was set aside, was a reminder of tradition, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's craft, a practice that honored ancestors and earth alike. In Latin America, colonial medicine intertwined with indigenous traditions, yielding bizarre treatments. In Mexico City, where the scent of copal incense rose from bustling markets and cathedral bells tolled under starlight, healers used tobacco enemas, blowing smoke through a reed tube, for constipation or fainting spells, believing it could revive the body's spirits. A patient, perhaps a farmer with abdominal pain, lay on a wooden bench in a tiled clinic. The smoke's warmth, a strange sensation, its pungent scent mingling with the air. As the soft hum of the city, street vendors, mariachi notes, drifted through the open door, the healer adjusted her reed, her fingers brushing the smooth wood, her voice calm as she explained the treatment's benefits, her shawl embroidered with flowers. The patient's family, waiting in the clinic's courtyard, sipped a tolly from clay mugs, their hands warmed by the ceramic, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the remedy as vibrant as the city's colors. The reed's faint hiss as the smoke faded was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that bridged Mesoamerican and European worlds. In Australia by the 1850s, colonial doctors embraced arsenic tonics for skin conditions and fatigue, their bottles gleaming in frontier clinics. In Sydney, where the scent of eucalyptus and sea salt filled the air and the harbour sparkled under moonlight, a patient, perhaps a miner with eczema, sipped an arsenic tonic from a blue glass bottle, its bitter taste masked by honey, the spoon trembling slightly in his hand. As the scent of beeswax from candles on a nearby table lingered faintly, the doctor adjusted his scales, his fingers brushing the cool brass, his voice low as he noted the dosage in a leather-bound book, its pages crinkling softly under his pen. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby waiting room, sipped tea from tin cups, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices soft as they spoke of recovery, their hearts lifted by the promise of a cure, unaware of arsenic's slow poison. The bottle's soft clink as it was set back on the shelf was a reminder of hope, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that glittered with promise but hid silent dangers. By the 1860s, hydrotherapy gained traction in Europe, and America, its cold baths, hot wraps, and mineral soaks believed to cure ailments from insomnia to hysteria. In Baden-Baden, where mineral springs bubbled under starlight and the scent of pine drifted through the air, patients soaked in deep porcelain tubs, the water's chill a shock to the skin, its ripples a soft murmur in the quiet spa, their reflections dancing in the candlelight. As the scent of lavender, used to soothe the nerves, lingered faintly, the attendant adjusted the tub's faucet, his fingers brushing the cool brass, his voice calm as he explained the treatment's benefits, his coat crisp and white. The patient's family, waiting in the spa's anteroom, sipped herbal tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate rims, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the water as clear as the springs themselves. The water's soft splash as the patient emerged was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that promised renewal through nature's embrace. Hydrotherapy took many forms, including wet sheet wraps. In New York, where the Hudson River gleamed under gaslight and the scent of roasted chestnuts filled the air, doctors wrapped patients in cold, damp sheets to reduce fevers, believing the body would rally against the chill. A patient, perhaps a teacher with typhoid, lay on a cot, the sheets clinging to her skin, their damp weight a strange comfort, their scent faintly of starch. As the soft hum of the city, omnibuses, street vendors, drifted through the window, the doctor adjusted the sheets, his fingers brushing the cotton, his voice low as he murmured assurances, his spectacles fogging slightly. The patient's family, waiting in a nearby room, sipped coffee from tin mugs, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices soft as they prayed for recovery, their trust in the wrap unwavering. The cot's faint creak as the patient shifted was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that sought to coax the body back to health. Mesmerism, or animal magnetism, was a peculiar fad, particularly in France. In Paris, where the Seine shimmered under gas lamps and the scent of fresh baguettes drifted from bakeries, mesmerists waved their hands over patients, believing they could channel invisible magnetic forces to cure ailments like anxiety, insomnia, or nervous disorders. A patient, perhaps a poet with melancholy, sat in a velvet-upholstered chair in a dimly lit salon. The mesmerist's slow gestures a quiet rhythm, their movements casting faint shadows on the wallpaper. As the scent of lavender dabbed on the patient's wrists lingered in the air. The mesmerist adjusted his posture, his voice low as he murmured soothing words, his eyes fixed on the patient's face, his presence a beacon of calm. The patient's family, waiting in an adjacent room, sipped wine from crystal glasses, their hands warmed by the delicate stems, their voices soft as they shared tales of miracles, their faith in the mesmerist as bright as the city's boulevards. The mesmerist's soft hum, fading into silence, was a reminder of hope, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that captivated hearts with its mysterious allure. Trepanation, the ancient practice of drilling holes in the skull, was rare but persisted for severe headaches or seizures. In London, where the scent of coal smoke and wet wool filled the air, a surgeon in a sterile operating room used a hand-cranked trepan, its steel bit whirring softly as it pierced bone. A patient, perhaps a clerk, with debilitating migraines, lay on a wooden table, the chloroform's heavy scent lulling him into a dreamless sleep, his face calm under the drug's spell. As the scent of alcohol, used to sterilize the tools, lingered faintly, the surgeon adjusted the trepan, his fingers brushing the cool steel, his voice low as he murmured to his assistant, his hands steady in the gaslight's glow. The patient's family, waiting in the hospital's anteroom, sipped tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate handles, their voices soft as they prayed for healing, their trust in the surgeon as solid as the city's stone bridges. The trepan's faint whir, fading into silence, was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's skill, a practice as old as civilization itself. Calomel, a mercury chloride compound, was widely used for digestive issues, its chalky powder dispensed in paper packets. In Boston, where the scent of salt air and fresh clams drifted from the harbor, apothecaries gave calomel to patients with dysentery, their hands steady as they folded the packets, their surfaces crinkling softly. A patient, perhaps a sailor, with stomach cramps, swallowed the powder, its bitter taste masked by a sip of molasses, the spoon trembling slightly in his hand. As the scent of peppermint, used to settle the stomach, lingered faintly, the apothecary adjusted his scales, his fingers brushing the cool brass, his voice calm as he noted the dosage in a ledger, its pages yellowed with age. The patient's family, gathered in a nearby room, sipped cider from tin mugs, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they spoke of recovery, their hearts lifted by the promise of a cure, unaware of calomel's toxic toll. The packet's soft rustle as it was set aside was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that promised relief but often left scars. Skull vibration, a bizarre treatment for mental disorders, emerged in the 1870s in Philadelphia, where the scent of fresh ink and leather filled the air. Doctors used tuning forks or vibrating rods to stimulate the scalp, believing it could cure hysteria or depression. A patient, perhaps a housewife with anxiety, sat in a cushioned chair, The fork's hum a soft murmur against her temples, its vibrations a gentle pulse in the quiet clinic. As the scent of rosewater, dabbed on her wrists, lingered faintly, the doctor adjusted the fork, his fingers brushing the cool metal, his voice low as he explained the treatment's benefits, his coat crisp and white. The patient's family, waiting in a nearby room, sipped tea from porcelain cups, their hands warmed by the delicate rims, their voices soft as they shared tales of cures, their faith in the vibration unwavering. The fork's faint hum, fading into silence, was a reminder of innovation, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's craft, a practice that hummed with the era's boundless optimism. In the Middle East, Ottoman healers used unique remedies alongside European influences. In Istanbul, where the Bosphorus gleamed under starlight and the scent of rosewater and cumin filled the air, physicians applied leeches for fevers, their jars gleaming in tiled clinics. A patient, perhaps a merchant with a cough, sat on a cushioned divan, the leeches clinging to his chest, their bites a soft murmur in the quiet room, their work a gentle rhythm that echoed the call to prayer. As the soft hum of the city, bazaar chatter, muezzin's voice, drifted through the lattice window, the healer adjusted the jar, his fingers brushing the cool glass, his voice calm as he explained the leech's benefits, his robe embroidered with silver thread. The patient's family, waiting in a nearby courtyard, sipped coffee from copper cups, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices low as they shared tales of recovery, their faith in the leeches as deep as the city's history. The jar's faint clink, as it was set on a shelf, was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that bridged East and West. By the late 1800s, the rise of scientific medicine began to challenge these curious treatments. In Chicago, where skyscrapers pierced the sky and the scent of fresh lumber filled the air, pharmacists and doctors exposed patent medicines as frauds, testing their contents in laboratories lit by electric bulbs. A skeptic, perhaps a chemist, stood at a wooden bench, analyzing a bottle of Carter's little liver pills, its amber liquid shimmering under a microscope, its secrets revealed as mere sugar and alcohol. As the scent of chemicals, ether, iodine, lingered faintly, the chemist adjusted his lens, his fingers brushing the cool brass, his voice calm as he noted his findings in a notebook, its pages crinkling softly. Families gathered in drugstores, sipped soda from glass bottles, their hands warmed by the cool glass, their voices low as they spoke of progress, their trust in science growing like the city's skyline. The bottle's soft clink, as it was set aside, was a reminder of truth, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's reason, a shift that heralded a new era. Yet even as science advanced, old remedies lingered, their rituals a comfort in uncertain times. In rural Ireland, where the scent of peat and heather filled the air, village healers applied leeches for rheumatism, their jars kept in stone cottages. A patient, perhaps a shepherd, with aching joints, sat by a turf fire, the leeches clinging. To his hands, their bites a soft murmur in the quiet room, their work a gentle rhythm that echoed the wind's sigh. As the scent of lavender, used to calm the patient, lingered faintly, the healer adjusted the jar, her fingers brushing the cool glass, her voice low as she murmured blessings, her presence a comfort in the dim light. The patient's family, gathered by the hearth, sipped tea from tin mugs, their hands warmed by the metal, their voices soft as they prayed for healing, their trust in the leeches as enduring as the hills. The jar's faint clink as it was set aside was a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's wisdom, a practice that wove the past into the present. The tools of these treatments were as varied as the remedies themselves, each a quiet testament to the era's ingenuity and faith. In London, lancets with ivory handles gleamed in leather cases, their blades sharp and precise, their surfaces cool to the touch. In Calcutta, brass mortars, etched with floral patterns, ground herbs and mercury, their clank a soft rhythm in the humid air. In New Orleans, glass syringes, their plunges smooth, delivered tonics, their clink a gentle note in the candlelit room. As the scent of camphor lingered, healers gathered, their hands warmed by their tools, their voices low as they shared tales of cures, their trust in their craft unwavering. The tools' faint sounds, as they were set aside, were a reminder of care, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's art, a practice that shaped countless lives. The patients, too, were a diverse tapestry, their stories woven into the era's medical landscape. In Paris, a seamstress sought leeches for her headaches, hands trembling as she clutched her shawl. In Beijing, a scholar sipped antler tea for strength, his eyes fixed on his scrolls. In Lagos, a trader lay under a poultice, his breath easing with each moment. As the scent of herbs lingered, families gathered, their hands warmed by cups and mugs, their voices low as they shared hopes for healing, their trust in the remedies a quiet thread in their lives. The patients' soft sighs as they rested were a reminder of hope, a gentle nudge to trust the healer's care, a practice that bound communities in shared faith. The skeptics, though few, played a role, their voices a quiet counterpoint to the era's optimism. In Boston, a doctor tested tonics, his findings published in journals, his pen scratching softly. In London, a pharmacist exposed calamol's dangers, his voice calm as he spoke to colleagues, his notebook filled with evidence. As the scent of ink lingered, skeptics gathered, their hands warmed by their work, their voices low as they shared truths, their trust in science a beacon of change. The pen's soft scratch as it paused was a reminder of progress, a gentle nudge to trust reason, a shift that reshaped medicine's future. And so, dear wanderers, our long and gentle tale of weird medical treatments from the 1800s comes to a close. From the leech jars of Paris to the tobacco enemas of Mexico City, from the mercury pills of Berlin to the moxa cones of Kyoto, healers sought to ease suffering with curious remedies, their efforts a quiet testament to hope and care. As you rest beneath your own starry sky, perhaps with the distant hoot of an owl or the rustle of leaves outside your window, let these ancient stories wrap you in peace, their quiet rhythms soothing your mind like a soft lullaby. If this tale has calmed your heart, we invite you to return to Unknown Sleepers for more whispers from the past, each one a gentle guide into dreams. For now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the night cradle you in its timeless, tranquil embrace. Good night and sleep well.